Before the explosion, a Cherry Plum flower essence story. The explosion came without warning. One moment, Manuel was bent over his crossword at the kitchen table, trying to block out the din of the morning rush. The next, his grandson Diego was tugging at his sleeve, asking about a clue. Abuelo, what's a 6-letter word for pasta? Manuel roared, slamming his pen down. His chest was tight, his heart hammering, jaw clenched so hard it ached. He saw the boy's face crumple, wide eyes filling with fear. And then silence. Awful, suffocating silence. Manuel looked down at his trembling hands. He recognized the feeling, that moment when patience snaps and words fly out like bullets, leaving damage he never intended. It had happened again. Weeks earlier, Manuel had left behind the quiet life he'd shared with his wife Rosa to move into his daughter Luisa's bustling home. Rosa had been gone 6 months, and loneliness pressed at him like a second skin. But the adjustment was harder than he'd imagined. Luisa's mornings were a storm. Sofia, 12, arguing over clothes. Marisol, 9, forgetting her homework. Diego, 6, bouncing a soccer ball indoors until it ricocheted off the refrigerator. Everyone talking at once. Everyone rushing. To Manuel, the house felt like a world spinning too fast, pulling him off balance. Without Rosa's steadying presence, he felt stripped of control, of his home, his routine, even his temper. The eruptions kept coming. When Sofia spilled juice across the counter, Manuel's shout filled the kitchen before he could stop himself. Por el amor de Dios! Can't you be more careful? Another time Marisol hummed while she colored at the table. Harmless, innocent, but the sound grated against his raw nerves. Do you have to make noise every second? He snapped. Every outburst left him hollow. Afterward, he sat in his room with his head in his hands, shame flooding him. He had always been the strong one. Now he was unraveling in front of the very people he loved most. That night, Luisa called her sister. Elena, I don't know how much longer we can keep this up, she whispered. The children are afraid of him. Even Esteban is losing patience. And sometimes I'm scared too. Elena's voice was steady. He's grieving, and he's lost control of everything familiar. That's terrifying. I know, Luisa said, but what can I do? Elena hesitated, then said softly, Do you remember how Mama used Cherry Plum? I'll come this weekend. I think it's time Papa tried it. On Saturday, Elena found her father on the porch. Papa, she said gently, do you remember how Mama used to take Cherry Plum when her nerves got the best of her? Manuel's brow furrowed. A memory surfaced. Rosa at the kitchen table, hands folded around a teacup, the little bottle in her other hand. When everything felt like too much, he murmured, she would take a few drops and say it helped her find her center again. Elena nodded, pulling a bottle from her purse. That's right. 4 drops under the tongue, or in water, whenever the tightness builds. She swore it kept her from breaking apart. Manuel took it, his eyes wet. Holding it was like holding a piece of Rosa again. The next morning, Manuel added 4 drops into his tea. Chaos erupted as usual. Sofia couldn't find her shoes. Marisol misplaced her homework. Diego bounced his soccer ball in the hallway. The familiar surge rose, trembling hands, pounding heart, the sense he might explode. But this time, it softened. The panic faded, replaced by a steadier rhythm. When Marisol spilled her milk, he started to rise with a shout, but stopped. Accidents happen, he said instead. Let's clean it up together. Marisol blinked, then smiled. 3 weeks after the milk incident, Luisa noticed a shift in the whole household. The children approached their abuelo more freely. Diego tugged him into the yard to show off soccer tricks. Sophia lingered by his chair, curious about the proverbs he shared. Manuel still had his temper, but he began to recognize the warning signs: the racing pulse, the tightening jaw. Every time he reached for the drops, grounding himself before the storm broke. Even Esteban admitted one evening, "Your father's calmer. The house feels lighter." At night, Manuel often held the cherry plum bottle in his hand before setting it by his bedside. The ritual comforted him, reminding him of Rosa's patience and strength. He realized he no longer needed to be the man of the house. His role had shifted. He was abuelo now, storyteller, keeper of roots. One evening, as the children crowded around, he told them about chasing burros with his cousins, about tortillas cooking over firewood, about sleeping under stars so bright they seemed to sing. The children laughed, eyes wide, asking for more. And Manuel felt something new, not control, but belonging. For the first time since Rosa's passing, Manuel smiled without effort. And this time, it reached his eyes. You know, there's something beautiful about how the smallest things can shift everything. Cherry plum flower essence, just a few drops, helped Manuel find his way back to himself and his family. Sometimes healing comes not from grand gestures, but from gentle remedies and the wisdom of those who loved us. If Manuel's story touched your heart tonight, I'd love to have you join our little storytelling family. Please subscribe so you never miss these moments we share together. And if you have a story of your own, about family, about healing, about finding your place in the world, we'd love to hear it. Drop me a comment below. Until next time, may you find your own threads of calm in the beautiful chaos of life.